All right, it's time for another edition of You Make the Call.
IBM presents You Make the Call.
The Vikings, with a 10-9 lead, force a turnover when Josh Metellus strips Justin Fields. Vikings get the ball back with about 3 minutes left with a chance to put the game away. What does Kevin O'Connell do? A, try to win, or B, play not to lose? The answer, of course, is B. I mean, that's an easy one. I couldn't really think of a good You Make the Call this week.
If you said so, then you made the right call.
That's Kevin O'Connell. His whole goal in every game is for Greg Joseph to be able to attempt a 50-ish yard field goal. That's his whole goal. If when he ran Alexander Madison up the middle twice and they did that stupid wide receiver screen that got nothing, if they had gotten a couple yards and gotten into Greg Joseph range, which doesn't really have a range, but I mean the range where O'Connell would attempt it, and if Greg Joseph had somehow made that kick, I'm not so sure the Vikings win, because there's plenty of time for the Bears to drive down the field for a touchdown. And with the Vikings suddenly deciding to rush 3 on that final drive, who's to say they would have won anyway? So Kevin O'Connell just wants to settle for just winning by the skin of your teeth. But let's talk about that punt at the end. I mean, we got the only punter who kicks the ball out of bounds outside the 20. It's unbelievable how awful the Vikings kicking game is year in and year out, and nothing is done to address it. Punting and field goal kicking. I mean, the last week against the Broncos, I think the punter only had 2 punts. Both of them kicked into the end zone. And on both of them, the same idiot for the Vikings just kind of watches it bounce into the end zone. Doesn't do anything to stop it. Punter is terrible. The coverage is terrible. It's like kick coverage. Everything is so awful. And no return game ever. Punt return. I think Powell had a punt return, and it seemed like he ran for 100 yards, and I think he got like 14. I'm just like, that looked like it should have been a lot longer, but it's like, when we finally get a good one, it just seems so much longer than it actually was. But it was O'Connell's lack of killer instinct that led to that awful punt. And the play calling was just atrocious all game. It doesn't make sense, okay? You're going to play so chicken bleep on that final possession when you have a chance to put the game away. Yet you'll go for it on 4th and 7 around midfield early in the second half when you're tied 3-3 and there's no need for you because your defense is playing well. You could just punt it away. Of course, your punter's going to punt it straight through the end zone. But still, it's like you're going to go for it on 4th and 7 at midfield, but you're not going to try to do anything with the ball when you're 1st and 10 with a chance to put the game away. Earlier in the fourth quarter, your offense gets a first down, and you suddenly decide to hurry it up. And you can see that when you decide to hurry it up, everything is discombobulated. And that's one of Dobbs' interceptions he throws. When you make everybody frantic with this random hurry up. And the real sign that the play calling is an issue is because the other team is never fooled by anything we do ever. Look at that wide receiver screen at the end on 3rd and 9. They all know what's coming. They know exactly what is coming. It's like they're in the huddle. But other teams fool us. They can pick up yards by doing something we're not expecting. We never can do that. We have to beat them when they know what's coming, which is hard. And, I feel bad about Josh Dobbs, the quarterback. It was painful to watch. It got to the point where you almost wanted a mercy rule. Just to get him out of there so you didn't have to see any more of what he was doing. And there's no question the play calling and the game plan was not designed well and not designed for him to succeed. The pass blocking was horrible. The O-line, just horrible. But it actually could have been worse. There were a couple dropped interceptions. And there were other missed plays like the throw out of bounds, that deep ball to Addison. It's just, come on. All you have to do is throw it into like a 20-yard window in bounds, and it's going to be a touchdown, and he couldn't do that. Just real sloppy. And you see all the people like on Twitter, I bet people miss Kirk Cousins now. Yeah, because I don't know, who was that who put up like 0 points in the first 3 quarters of that game at Seattle? His first year as a Viking on Monday night.
Kirk Cousins does not look good.
Or I think it was a Sunday night game at Chicago, 3 points in the first 3 quarters, threw a pick 6, and then put up a couple garbage touchdowns at the end that were meaningless. Who was that? Kirk Cousins? 2019, Monday night at home against Green Bay. Didn't show up. Kirk Cousins? Oh, that's right. He had one good Monday night game earlier this year. And so that erases everything, doesn't it? That erases everything in the past. So I guess because Josh Dobbs has a bad game, that erases everything he did too. That erases those amazing plays he made the past 2 weeks. No, it doesn't. Josh Dobbs made some inspired play. And yes, he's kind of a mess. He's sloppy, inaccurate, imprecise, questionable decision-making. But he made some unbelievable plays that, I've not seen a Vikings quarterback make, maybe ever.
What? He's awesome!
Well, you wouldn't think that if you read Twitter after the game, but...
What?
I do not think he's the answer. I've never thought he's the answer long term. That is not what I'm saying, but I want to see him in our next game. I don't want to see Jaren Hall. Jaren Hall's not the answer. Let's just see Josh Dobbs till the end of the year, and then let's get a real quarterback next year. And what about Josh Metellus? There are at least like 4 or 5 incredible plays he made. Now, if he misses a play next week, then we'll have to just cut him, I guess. What I don't want to see is Kevin O'Connell. That's the problem. We're going to see more Kevin O'Connell. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Dobbs, Jaren Hall, Kirk Cousins, whoever it is. O'Connell is going to take the foot off the gas, no matter who it is. Anyway, awards for this week. The award for a play that would be called a catch if the receiver was dating Taylor Swift. First offensive play of the game for the Vikings. A deep ball from Dobbs to Addison. Actually, a really good throw, although it's double coverage. Addison appeared to maybe catch it. And I had no problem with them calling that not a catch. As long as when Josh Metellus takes it away from Travis Kelce against the Chiefs, they call that not a catch. As long as they call that a turnover in the Vikings' favor, which they didn't. But we all know it's like if Jordan Addison was dating Taylor Swift, definitely that would have been a catch. And, probably the Vikings end up winning. How do you know who Kelce is?
My Taylor Swift's boyfriend?
Speaking of rhymes with punts. The award for a play that would be an incomplete pass and not a sack if Russell Wilson was playing quarterback, that goes to Justin Fields, where he was trying to throw it as he's getting sacked, but they called his knee down, or I think they called him in the grasp, and so it ended up being a sack. But of course, if that was Russell Wilson, that's of course an incomplete pass, and you just give them like 10 extra yards. Because it's Russell Wilson, and he's the biggest douche not named Sean Payton in the world. And last, the Moap Award. That goes to Vikings defense on that final drive. Kind of like Kevin O'Connell's offense, they took their foot off the gas when they needed it. Started rushing 3, occasionally rushing 4. Called off the dogs kind of on that final drive. And they're not the reason we lost. They're the reason we were in it. They're the reason we should have won. But it's just this whole team on every side of the ball is resistant to putting games away and doing what it takes to put a game away. So